This is the inside of the Auto Trail Imala 730. If I firstly move to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volt on just here. Once we've done this, we can then turn the top lighting on just on this button here. Beneath that is water pump on and off. We need the water pump on so we can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. Next we have awning light on and off, and then all other information is then just given just by pressing just here. So if I begin pressing, I will go back to the beginning. So this is a Sargent EC363 control panel. If I now press again, we have the voltage of the leisure battery just there, and you can also see that it's charging as well, as we're currently connected to mains electricity. Next we have the condition of the vehicle battery. How much water is in the fresh tank and how much water is in the waste tank. Select battery. So at the moment we're using the leisure battery to run the back end of the motorhome. If I now press the arrow just here, I can flick across to the vehicle. So we can run everything off the vehicle battery. Not a great idea, but handy in an emergency. But also, whichever battery you've selected on here, whilst you're hooked up to main supply, is the battery you are charging. After that, we then have the internal temperature and the internal humidity. Next we have clock set. All you do is you just arrow and then just select the hour, then press again and then select the minute, and then we end up back at the beginning again. Beside this control panel, we then have the control panel for the heating and hot water system. So at the moment you can see it's displaying the time, and it's also letting us know that we're connected to mains electricity. So if I now press the button, you'll now see a series of icons appear, and as I begin to rotate this button, they will begin to flash. So if we start with the first one just here, this one is for your heating. So if I now click on it, heating is off. All we now do is just rotate and pick whatever temperature we would like it inside the motorhome, right the way up to 30 degrees. Once you've decided, just press the button to store it in, and you'll now see a little flame has appeared above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know that you've set a parameter. Whenever the heating is in operation, the flame will begin to flash, and it will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you have asked. If I now press the button again, we can now move across to the next icon, and this one here is for your hot water. So again, if I now click, you'll see that hot water is off, and if I now rotate, I can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. If I rotate it again, we can heat it in hot, which will give us a temperature of about 60 degrees. And if I rotate again, we can perform a boost on the boiler. The boost was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want hot water very quickly. If you do perform the boost and the heating's running, the heating will turn off as it needs to use that extra power to perform the boost. And again, the icon will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you have asked. After heating and hot water, we have power source. So at the moment, to do the heating and the hot water, I am using, indicated by the little bottle here, gas on its own. If I now rotate, we can use a mixture of gas and mains electricity at 1 kilowatt, or a mixture of gas and mains electricity at 2 kilowatts. These two settings are very handy, especially in the winter months, if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. it will only use the gas supply as it is required. And then lastly, we have mains electricity on its own at 1 kilowatt and mains electricity on its own at 2 kilowatts. So again, just dependent on the amperage of the site you're on. Next we have the circulation fan for the heating. So currently the fan is in eco mode. You can put it into high. And if I now go back and I turn off both hot water and heating, and now return to it, we can also use it to vent the motorhome, and it has a fan speed of 1 to 10. If we now drop to the lower icons, this first lower icon is for a basic timer. So you'll see we can set a start time and then an end time. And then once we've done this, we can then just decide what we would like to come on within that period. So let's say we want the heating to come on at 18 degrees. We want water at 60. We want to be using dual fuel, and we'll leave the fan in eco. Once we've done all this, lastly, timer on or off. If I now turn the timer on, the timer icon will come up in the corner here, and now within that time period, those settings would apply. If I now go back into it, I can now turn the timer back off, and when we go back in, we can now re-alter it again. Next, we have clock set. And then lastly, we have the settings menu. So within this, we have offset, which is just for the onboard thermostat. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly adjust it. Temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of the screen. 12 or 24 hour clock. Language. Index, which is more for the technicians, it just lets them know what software it's running. And then lastly, full factory reset. From time to time, these control panels can throw up error codes. If an error code appears, it will just be a series of numbers and letters, and you'll also get a warning triangle where my finger is just here. If you then look in the manual or you Google it, it will tell you what the problem is. 9 times out of 10, it will be something relatively basic. So if you're trying to run anything on main supply and you don't have main supply connected to the van, it will throw up an error code. The same if you're trying to run it on gas and your gas is turned off or it is depleted. So 9 times out of 10, as long as you rectify the problem, the error code will just automatically disappear. If this doesn't happen, just go back to the warning triangle, double click on it, and it will sometimes then say no error and then go out. If that still doesn't work, if you still have anything running along the top here, just turn them all off, because it can assess a lot faster when it's not trying to do lots of things at once. If you've done this and still no luck, I always suggest the good old-fashioned turn it off, turn it back on again, and the way we do that is just by holding the button in until it says off. If when you turn it back on you still have an error code, I always then just say do the factory reset, because that is sometimes all that is required. If I now move across to the overhead locker, in here we have the consumer unit. So here we have the trip switches. So we've got the 3 individual MCBs labelled up just here, the main RCD and test button. So if anything is not working on main supply, just check to see if you've tripped at this point here. We then have the 12 volt fuses just here, and again they are all labelled up. So if anything's not working on 12 volt, just check to see if you've blown a fuse. Up the top here we have 2 isolator switches for components that use main supply. So the green one is for the battery charger. So if I turn that off now, we're no longer charging the batteries from the main supply. So do make sure that this is on. Beside that, we have the isolator for the heating and hot water system on main supply. So again, if we press that and turn it off and you're trying to run the system on mains, you will get the error code and the warning triangle. This switch here is full system shutdown, so if you're not using the motorhome for long periods of time, you can press this black button and it will then shut the back end down and kill any residual draw on the leisure battery. Also in here we have the solar panel regulator just here, and we can pick down here which battery we would like to charge. So at the moment it's currently charging the vehicle battery. If I flick it down, it will then charge the leisure battery, and if we have the rocker switch in the middle, it's completely turned off. It cannot overcharge the batteries, it will regulate itself, so once the battery is fully charged, it will just cut itself off. If I just come to the seat just here and remove the cushions, you will see we have storage beneath, and we also have the location of the leisure battery. So here we have the main 20 amp fuse off the battery, and there sits the leisure battery itself. Storage just underneath the travel seats just here. And then we have the Dinette fridge just here, on and off just here. And at the moment we're now running the fridge on mains electricity with the little picture of that 2-pin plug. If we don't have main supply, we can run the fridge on gas. Just need to press the picture of the flame. These particular fridges auto ignite themselves. If it fails to light, the fridge will begin to beep and you'll get a red flashing warning symbol just here. As it shows on this sticker here, you can press it to reset it and it will then retry to ignite itself. And then lastly, just here we have the 12-volt maintain button. So this is the setting we have it on to keep the fridge cold whilst the motorhome is on the move. It will only work whilst the engine is running. So if I press it at the moment, you'll see we will get the beeping sound indicating that we do not have 12 volt at the moment. And you will also get this if you're trying to run it on main supply and you have no mains connected. Temperature control just here. And then we have the freezer box at the top, and this can be removed. Microwave just here. Is advisable to remove any contents for travel. We then have quick start just here, and stop, power settings, etc. Wait time, defrost. The microwave is plugged in just at this point here. And then we have the hob. So electric hot plate just here, like the microwave, will work when the motorhome is connected to main supply, and it operates just here. We then have the gas burners, and it's just a matter of just pushing in, twisting and pushing the igniter. And then beneath that is the grill. And then beneath that is the oven. Beneath the oven you will find the majority of the gas isolation taps for the motorhome. They are all in the on position, and quite frankly they can stay like that. I always say if you do smell gas in the motorhome, just go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. 2 plugs plugged in underneath there as well, one being for the fridge, the other being for the hot plate. Omnivent fan above my head. So to use the fan, firstly open the roof vent just by twisting, and then middle button turns the unit on, and then we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling, and it's variable fan speed just by pressing. Washroom just here, so we have the shower cubicle. Do make sure that the shower screen is secured for travel. Basin, and then the Thetford toilet. So the bowl does swivel. To open to the cassette, just use the grey lever just here, and then push the flush on the blue button just here. Level indicator just here, so it will illuminate when the cassette needs emptying. And then just close the cassette back up again. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody's left this open. The light switch for in here is just tucked up here. You can gain access underneath the bed at this point here, and then tucked in the corner here is the Truma boiler. The boiler drain valve is also in here as well, and it is just that little yellow lever just down at this point down here. It's flapped over at the moment, thus holding water in the boiler itself. To drain the boiler down for winterization, you just need to flap that yellow lever up, and it will then begin to drop the water out. All you need to do to refill it is make sure that it's flapped across as it is at the moment. Fill up the fresh water tank, turn on the water pump, and then the water pump will begin to refill the boiler back up again. To drop the back of the bed, just pull towards you, and then to put it back up again, just push. In the wardrobe you will find the digital amplifier for the MaxView television aerial on the roof. On and off just here. Control the boost just here. Once you've turned it on, you can then tune in the television. So you have 12 volt and a main socket here, and an aerial fly lead if you wanted a television in the back. But this model does come with a Avtex television in the front. So if I now twist here and just drop it down, as you change location, it will need to be retuned in. At the moment it has been tuned in. So you have your TV guide just here. To retune the TV in, just press this button just here and it will take you straight back to the retune menu. Then all you need to do is just hit OK and it will then begin to retune itself back in again. Do make sure that the television is secured before travel. So you have this clip just here, and then if I now just scoot round to the side, you'll see that tucked just up here there is another one that you just need to make sure has been locked into place. The dinette area can be made into a bed. If you are going to do this, the table needs to unhook off the wall and then drop onto the rail just here. To shorten the leg, just push the button in just here and then just fold the leg up. Next, we just need to lift up and drop this leg. Then it's just a matter of dropping in the cushions and the infills. Once all of the cushions are in place, there is a small gap just here, and that is what this fold out infill is for. Both front seats swivel, and to swivel them just pull the levers. They are height adjustable as well,